Hi guys, that's me, Robbie from EnglishHarmony.com. But tonight I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. It's not going to be anything related to English fluency improvement or confidence issues. It's going to be something that I was deeply touched by. It happened on Sunday, and basically a guy called Felix, what's his surname, Baumgartner. He's an Austrian skydiver, and I believe he might be living in the States from time to time. But anyway, the whole event happened in the States, and he attempted the world's highest skydive, and it was successful. Basically, he jumped from a 39-kilometer altitude. It's mind-boggling, guys. Basically, how it all happened was he was going up in a helium balloon, and he was sitting in a small capsule attached to the balloon, and balloon, I believe, was 50-something stories high. So it was a massive thing, and the whole event was followed by I believe there were telescopes. They looked like electronical binoculars, gigantic ones. So even 39 kilometers up, you could actually watch everything from the ground. These days technology is really capable of such incredible performance. So as you could see, the balloon rise up in there. It was huge, and the capsule was microscopic, at the very bottom of it. But anyway, the ascent to the 39-kilometer altitude took about 2 hours or something, actually over 2 hours, right? And the crazy thing about the whole skydive was that it was literally like outer space. There was virtually no air. The air pressure was something like 0.001, whatever the measurement is, I'm not sure. So basically it was vacuum, and the guy, Felix, he was wearing a space suit. Well, probably it's not the same space suit as astronauts wear, but it was quite similar in that it was fully hermetic, and it was pressurized from inside, because the moment he opened the door of the capsule, he had to actually depressurize the capsule, let all the air out to even the pressure in the capsule and in the outside environment, And before that, he pressurized his suit, and then he was virtually like an astronaut with his own mobile oxygen supply, which would have lasted for, I'm not sure, 40 minutes or something. And then he opened that capsule, and then they followed. There was a constant communication between him and the ground command center and the guy. It's really remarkable, guys, because the man who broke the previous record, well, actually he established that record. I'm not sure even if he broke some record. At that time, he was the only one who had ever attempted to do something that crazy, His high altitude jump was 31 kilometers or something, so it's not too far off, 31, 39, but it's even so, it's by 1/4, so it's Felix got up by 20% higher than, what's that guy's name? Joseph Kittinger, yeah. So Joseph Kittinger now is an 84-year-old man, if I'm not mistaken. He was part of that team who helped Felix, and Felix was actually preparing for 5 years. Can you imagine? For 5 years. This just goes to show how significant is the aspect of preparation for such a high altitude jump, But anyway, Joseph was in a direct communication with Felix, and they went through a checklist prior to his jump. There was more than 30 or thereabouts items to be checked, constantly, like this, turn this light on and make sure that this switch is turned on, and make sure that the visor works properly. And there was actually a problem with his visor, the thing that lowers down and goes up, and it was crucial because when he jumped, his whole gear had to be hermetically closed, and he had to be able to see through the visor, but he had some issues with the heating, which would mean that the moment he opened the capsule, the temperature difference would be significant. There was about -10 outside, and as he would fall down, he would hit places where the temperature would drop to -70. So if the heating wasn't working, he wouldn't be able to see anything because it would freeze over, or at least there would be mist forming on the visor, right? I'm not sure if they actually ever fixed that issue, because he had no one with him. He was all by himself up there in the capsule. But anyway, they went ahead with the jump, and I was watching the whole event live. It was streamed, and at the peak time, about 8 million or so people were watching the jump on YouTube, and I was sitting at my laptop for the whole 2 hours. I was listening to the commentary where the history was outlined and all the technical data was provided about the preparation and how the capsule was built, and about those test jumps. Prior to this main jump, Felix successfully completed a series of lower altitude jumps, which were feats in themselves, And basically the view was amazing. When he got up there, it was literally the man standing above the whole world, just standing, not an astronaut in a space station, but the view that opened up before him was magnificent. It was like outer space. It was actually, the whole mission was called something like Mission to the Edge of Space, even though it might sound not as such big altitude, 39 kilometers. Sure, what's the big deal? 39 kilometers. Space stretches for billions of kilometers, right? But still, just to put that in perspective, commercial airlines normally would fly in and around about 10 or 12 kilometer altitude, and jets would fly, if I'm not mistaken, 20 kilometers. That would be the maximum altitude. So if the jets and airplanes fly that high, Felix was up that high. Imagine, it's mind-boggling. He was 4 times higher basically than the jets would and airplanes would fly. And basically he broke a number of records. He broke record for the highest manned balloon flight. The previous record was established back in the 60s. So he broke that record. Then he broke record of the highest skydive. Obviously it was 39 kilometers. And he didn't break one record, which was the longest free fall. Actually, it's still held by the previous person who established the record of the highest jump ever, Joseph Kittinger, or Kittinger. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his surname right. And his free fall was 5 minutes something, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was over 5. But Felix's fall was 4 minutes 30 seconds or so. So he didn't break that record. But most notably, he went faster than the speed of sound. Yes, he broke the sound barrier. And he's the first human being who's actually gone faster than sound without any technical device, not in a car, not in a rocket, not just in a free fall, just himself on his own in the natural environment. It's amazing. But it was scary too, because following the reports, he was quite close to passing out, and who knows how it would have ended if he did pass out, because he went into a rotation, you know, his body began spinning, and ideally he should have prevented that, you know. The first minutes when he fell, he should have went head straight with his head first, you know. He should have gone into a head first dive, right? But he actually started spinning, and obviously it was near impossible to prevent that, and the spin was so fast. Imagine going at the speed of sound, which is 300 meters a second. Imagine 300 meters in a second, and on top of that you're spinning like in a tumble dryer. Like any normal person would be dead, you know. You would have passed out and slammed into the ground, and that would be the end of it. But thanks to Felix's meticulous preparation, which lasted for years, and obviously even before that he was a typical daredevil. He was a base jumper. He's jumped from the Jesus statue in Rio, and he's jumped into a black cave in somewhere in Central Europe, in Croatia or somewhere, with a parachute where you couldn't see anything. It was 600 meters deep, but it was pitch dark in it, you know, so he just jumped into that. I remember reading an article about his achievements, and it was mentioned there, right? So, and he was the first person who crossed the English Channel using the fiber. What kind of fiber is the carbon fiber wings, you know? So that he basically flew all by himself over the channel. And after establishing all those records and obviously running out of things to do, he might have thought, hold on, what other records could I break? Sure, why not attempt the world's highest skydive, right? And yes, he did it. And he did it with the help of the Red Bull team, and this event was very well promoted, but not by the company itself, but by people, you know. It was social phenomenon, you know. It went viral on YouTube, on Twitter, and all the related blog posts and videos have been Facebooked and liked and tweeted hundreds of thousands in time, and it just goes to show how powerful social media is these days, you know. A company doesn't have to invest millions of dollars into the common advertising, you know. You can just market some event in the social media, and it takes the whole thing snowballs, and it becomes kind of self-marketing, you know. People do it for you. You don't have to spend a dime. And of course, you definitely have to check out this video where you can actually watch how the whole thing happened, how he jumped. And I think you have to agree that the view that opened up before Felix as he stepped out and he was standing on the step preparing himself to jump it's a once a lifetime event, you know. You don't often get to see something like that, you know. We've seen many things, you know, people on the moon and things like that, but this just somehow this one feels different, you know. Like it was literally jumping from the outer space, you know. And I just wanted to share my excitement and my emotions with you guys. I don't know why, but I was deeply moved by the whole buzz around the event, and I was glued to the laptop and I watched how it happened. I was getting goosebumps and all. It was so exciting. It was so crazy and so good. Okay, guys, this is one of those rare videos where I'm not talking about English fluency at all. And probably just as well, you know. We don't necessarily need to be constantly focused on the whole fluency thing. We just need to be enjoying the English language, you know. That's what actually true fluency is all about, you know. As I go about my daily business, I don't constantly perceive my whole life from the fluency improvement perspective or whatever. I just live through the English language. I enjoy my hobbies, And this high altitude jump is a typical example of how you can improve, even, right? You can improve your English through something you really enjoy. As I was watching that event, I learned so many useful English phrases and collocations. Manned balloon flight. The highest manned balloon flight, right? Hadn't I watched this video and followed the whole thing, I wouldn't have learned that phrase, manned balloon flight. It's a typical English collocation, but from now on I'll just know it because I heard it a few times and I repeated it. And then I actually had a conversation with someone about this event, so I was retelling a story. And the more I repeat that particular collocation, manned balloon flight, or high altitude jump, high altitude, it's a typical collocation. And let me think of more collocations in the whole thing. Broke the sound barrier, you know. Prior to this, I wouldn't have probably used the same exact word, you know. I wouldn't have said broke the sound barrier, I would have said went faster than sound or achieved the speed of sound, but broke the sound barrier is obviously the way native speakers speak about such and similar events, so from now on I'll be able to use this particular collocation or phrase or idiomatic expression, whatever you call it. Anyway, thanks for watching me, guys, and I'm hopeful that those of you who haven't followed that event are going to watch this video and enjoy, at least you'll get to enjoy 1% of the experience that Felix had up there. 39 kilometers up there, imagine. Alright guys, thanks for watching and talk to you soon again. Bye.